Hi everyone! Today I show you how you can make this top for yourself, and I think the fact that you can't see any seams on the outside makes the top also look very high quality, and I have it as a basic in white and in black and wear it really often. Okay, so we really get started. First thing, you need to download the pattern in your size. If you're not sure which size to pick, there's a table with the measurements, so you can choose which size suits you the best. And then you click on download, and there are 3 files which are zipped together. First, if you open the folder, you can see them: the layout plan, the instructions, and the pattern itself. If you open the pattern, then you can see an overview on the second page of the A4 pages, which you have to print out and glue together. Important here, for scale, use 100% so that the measurements are not scaled or anything. I would suggest printing the first real page, so page 3 of the pattern, and compare these centimeters here, that you can be sure that everything is correct. Here you have the instructions with all detailed information: how much fabric you need, which are the different pattern pieces, how you have to cut them out, etc., and also some useful tips. So make sure to read this one as well. And the last thing is layout plan. So how you need to lay out your fabric so that you can cut it out properly. And this is also the first thing that we are going to do. The stretchy side, so there should be one direction in the fabric which is more elastic than the other one, in general at least. And this should be, in our case, for example, from top to bottom in the video. This is the more elastic direction. And I folded the fabric and then I did cut the pieces at the fold. You can, of course, also just print the pattern out again and sew or glue the parts together and then lay it on the flat fabric. Both matches. I think the advantages of cutting out on the fold is that you have 2 really symmetrical pieces. And once you've cut out everything, we start with the back piece. It's this one, and then we lay out the front piece on top, so right side on right side. So the beautiful side, which should be on the outside, they lay on top of each other. And the first thing is that we pin the shoulder seams together. And then we sew both of them. I used my serger. If you do not have one, no problem. You can just use the zigzag stitch with your normal sewing machine as well. Just make sure that you use an elastic stitch so that the jersey, which is elastic, has also parts to move. And we do this for a second time. So we iron the shoulder seams, and then we cut. Then we do the same process for the other 2 parts, so that now we can lay them on top of each other. So here again, right sides on right sides. And then we pin the whole neckline together. So I start with the shoulder seams. I place them exactly on top of each other. And then I lay out both pieces flat and pin the whole neckline together. Now I sew everything. Here again, I use my serger. If you do not have one, no problem. Just use your normal machine with a zigzag stitch. Perfect. Here I also show you, if you have a serger and you do not know how to end your stitch because you can't stitch forward and backward as you would with your normal sewing machine, just use a needle with a big loop for the thread, and then place all 4 threads inside of the loop, and then with your needle go through the seam that we've just sewn, and pull the whole thread through, and then you can just cut it here. It tangled up, but you can just then cut it, and then you have a really nice and neat overlock seam where you don't really see a start or an end. Okay, this is how it looks now. And we will top stitch the whole neckline because we do not want the lining to show on the outside. So here I didn't really choose which side should be the lining and which one the outer fabric. So if you have a favorite side, then pick now and fold the seam allowance to the side of the lining. So here I folded it to the right side and then top stitch really close to the seam that you've just sewn. I use 2 millimeters. So here the seam allowance is to the right on top of the lining or below the lining. And I top stitch on the lining, so right or on the right side next to the seam over the whole neckline, so that yes, the lining doesn't pop up on the outside but is secured and fixed together with the seam allowance. This is how it should look now. You see the seam allowance with the lining is held in place, and you have a really nice and flat neckline. Iron everything, and then it should look like this. And as you can see now, as we did the top stitching and the seam moved a little bit, you have here some fabric which shows and which is not exactly on top of each other, and we trim this excess fabric. I use my scissor and just make sure that you have like a clean edge with 2 layers exactly on top of each other. We will now start with the burrito method. So we do 1 strap, the first strap, and therefore we roll the whole top together. And for the first strap, we sew this one right side on right side. So here on the shoulder seam, we start and I pin the whole strap until the armhole together, right side on right side. And just make sure that when you pin, that you just pin the 2 layers of fabric that we want to sew together and not the rest of the top, which is all rolled up inside of our strap. And here I pin the whole top. And then this whole line, I sew it together. Again, serger or zigzag stitch of your normal sewing machine. Here also, when you come to the shoulder seam, there it's like the tiniest or narrowest space. So there really make sure not to sew the rest of the top, just the 2 layers. So you can also see here with my fingers, I put the fabric in place and make sure that nothing else is sewn by accident. Once you have this whole thing, just iron it once again, that it's pressed flat, and then we turn the whole top inside out, so we can just pull very gently on the top and turn it to the right side. And then we have a really nice clean strap. No raw edges are visible. And yes, this we can iron it once again, and then we do the same process for the other strap. Of course, first I forgot here to mention to trim the fabric and then roll everything and and then you have your second side finished. I think the straps look really good now. What we do now is close the side seam. So here we place the both inner, so we have 4 layers of fabric, and the inner one we place on top of each other and pin them right side on right side. So beautiful side on beautiful side together. I start with the seam in the middle, so at the armpit, and then I pin the whole seam together, or the pieces together. And before I sew it, I always check if I pinned everything correctly. So here, okay, it looks nice, right side on right side, no raw edges. Once I have sewn the seam, so I continue with sewing. If you open it, then this line sew together with your overlock. Okay, once you're finished, iron again, give it a good press, and then it should really nearly look like a top. So the first side seam is finished. Now we are going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So here again we have 4 layers of fabric, and the inner 2 we put together and we pin together right side on right side, and sew. Perfect. This is how it looks now. Just the hem is the last thing to do. You can use different methods. I really wanted no seams at all to be visible at the front, so I just picked 2 seams and placed them together right side on right side and pinned over the whole hem of the top, together right side on right side, and pinned everything together. And then when we sew it, we just leave a little hole, or maybe a little bit bigger hole, and then turn the whole fabric again to the correct side. So here first I pinned everything, make sure not to pull on the fabric so that everything lays neatly on top of each other. And then I marked the opening, that I made sure that I didn't by accident sew the whole top, but this little a few centimeters, maybe even use more than I used, because it was like really super small to then turn the whole top through it. So maybe use a few centimeters more. But first sew the whole top completely around, right side on right side. And then it looks like this with a little opening. Yeah, I would suggest making this opening a little bit bigger. And then you can just turn the top, so pull gently on the top and turn it through the loop, or through the hole, yeah. And once you've turned everything, then the really last step is to close the little hole that we just had created, the loop. So this is how it should look. And here I can show you, yes, there's a little hole that we still need to close. Yes, this one. And there are different methods. You can either use your machine and just top stitch it, then you will see the seam on the outside. Or there's also, I guess, the machines which can do the blind hem. Mine can't do this one, so I do it by hand. So I have a needle and thread, and I stitch into one side, and then when the needle changes the different side, I just, as you can see in the video, try to get in the exact same spot on the other side of the fabric. So with one hand, pull both or hold both fabrics together, and then use your needle to go as clean and small as possible through the fabric, left side, right side, left side, right side, and just try to sew them together with no stitch visible. I hope it was explained like you can understand. Okay, and now your top is finished. I really, really like the pattern. I think it's a really nice basic. Yeah, I mean, in this bright colors, maybe not a real basic, but more a highlight for the summer. But I also have it in white. And if you sewed your top for yourself, then please tag me on social media and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and stay tuned for more free patterns.